Yo, man, that dude Bam Rodriguez is a straight beast. I think I may have a new favorite fighter. Shout out to Jesse Bam Rodriguez for putting that performance up against Sor Rungvisai. That listen, I've always came across impressed with Jesse Rodriguez, and I'll be honest, I'm not somebody who watches every single little guy fight. I'll be honest with you, but I have seen Sarung Vasai fight. I saw the fights with Chocolatico and Estrada, and Bam. I've seen his last, I want to say three or four fights, and every time I've come across, every time I've watched Bam, I've come across very impressed. This is the most impressed I've ever been, that I've seen from him. This is a fantastic performance. Pitched a shutout, dropped them, and then stopped Sarung Visai. This is a star-making performance. He really, really made a statement. I believe that he has the potential of being number one pound for pound in the future. Not now. I'm not saying put him in the pound for pound rankings right now, right this second. No. But this guy is special. He is showing that he is like I came across as like just amazed. And then the reason I say amazed is because of what he's doing at the age of what he's doing. He's doing all these beautiful tricks and setting traps, things that you know you do maybe when you're at a later stage in your career. The guy's 21, youngest world champion, does it against a veteran Sarung Vasai. This was a fantastic performance. I did not expect that type of domination. Also, although and I don't know if it's because Bam is so fast or Rung Vasai is so slow. Rung Vasai did look a bit slow, I'll be honest with you, but still, that doesn't take away from what Bam was doing. Bam was moving and gliding. It was almost like he was on ice skates, moving around in that ring, and then he would just shift to the side and even be at an angle where I'm not even sure how he landed certain punches, and he would land it and then take a beautiful step back and just slide around the ring. I came across just amazed with how good he looked, man. Shout out to Bam Rodriguez. Good for that kid. Young guy like that in his hometown, putting up a performance like that, getting a stoppage. Bro, I totally loved his performance. Again, he's definitely in my top three, top four favorite fighters right now. Like, I'm definitely going to be talking about more Bam Rodriguez on this channel. Yes, I am a fan. Wow. His post-fight interview, I heard him announce that he's gonna move down to back to 112, which there's more fights at 115, but he doesn't want to fight at a disadvantage, fighting bigger guys while he's the smaller guy. But no, I mean, hey, listen, anything he does, I'm here to support. I look forward to it. There's a lot of fights from what I understand in those lower weight divisions that will be competitive. But honestly, from the little bit I've seen from the other smaller fighters, I don't see anybody fucking with him. Like his footwork was just so good and so sharp, and his timing. And yeah, he had a beautiful jab and went to the body and fought on the inside against the bigger guy at times too. It wasn't like he was just boxing the whole time. He put in an absolutely fantastic performance. This is a star-making performance. And honestly, where it's June right now, when did he fight? When did he fight Quadras? Was that this year? Hold on, let me check if when he fought Quadras, if that was this year, because if that was, he may fight again this year, and he is in the running for fighter of the year. If that fight was this year, let me check. He fought, yes, he fought in February against Carlos Cadras. Remember, he dropped him and everything, got the decision. Then goes on to fight Rungvisai, stops him in 8 rounds. And, there's still 6 months left. He didn't take a lot of punishment. He didn't get no cut. He didn't break his hand. He didn't do anything like that. So he's going to fight again this year. And I don't know against who. Let's say Nakatani or who else? Fernando Martinez. I don't know. There's plenty of guys who he can fight. Chocolatico, who knows? I don't know. But anyways, if he has another win of this caliber, let's say one of the guys I just mentioned, how do you not argue he's not the number one? I mean, not the number one, the fighter of the year. He's beaten champions, veterans, accomplished fighters, all while doing it. Literally, his last two fights, he was a smaller fighter. I'm not sure if he's moving back down to 112, but doing it against bigger fighters, more experienced fighters, I have a hard argument. If he gets one more good win at the end of the year, not giving him fight of the year. I really do. I really can't think of who would be the second one. Who would be his competition? I guess Bivol beating Canelo definitely has an argument. Who else? Let's see what Bivol does for the rest of the year. But I find it hard. Maybe Jermell Charlo just beat Castano for undisputed. I don't know who he'll fight next. Or the point is, man, Bam Rodriguez is a bad dude. Yes, Box Talk 101. Bam is different. Absolutely. Hypothetical, Bam versus Inoue. I don't think we see that fight. They're in different weight classes. What's his name? Inoue's at 118. Bam is at 115. Talk about moving down to 112. So I don't see that fight happening. And to me, Inoue's number one pound for pound. So, I don't think listen, like I said, I liked what I saw from Bam. I literally just said he's going to be one of my favorite fighters moving forward. But I don't see that as a competitive match. Not at this stage of his career. I don't. I want to see Bam versus Julio Cesar Martinez at 112. I think Bam I think that's such an easy fight for Bam. I think he dominates him more so than how Chocolatico dominated him. I'll be honest with you. I think Bam. Listen, Bam, right? What I saw from Bam, because Eddie Hearn touched on this when he did his post-fight interview. He's like, this is like a once-in-a-generation type of fighter. That's what he said. I'm calling. And honestly, if you just basing it off the performance we saw today, it's a hard argument to say that that's not true. You know what I'm saying? That's a real hard argument to say. I think all the 112 fights are easy for Bam, to keep it real, but that one might draw the most interest. Well, yeah, I mean, hey, if it's an easy division, move down there and become undisputed. There you go. That's the new trend right now. That's how you getting on these pound for pound lists. Go down. It's an easy division. Okay, stay active. Get 3 fight. You already fought twice this year. You're probably gonna fight a third time. Do the same thing next year. All at 112, maybe one or two of them are title shots, and then the same thing the next year. Boom, then you go undisputed, and then there's no argument that you should be pound for pound, and definitely your stock rises, man. But what a performance by that! What a performance! Where you get your hat from, boss? I don't know where I got it from. Probably just Yankees.com. The patch I put on the side, I did it on my own. I bought the patch separate, and then I paid somebody to stitch it on. So, yeah, I don't know if that's how you asking. But yeah. Bam can possibly become a special fighter. Yeah, man. I saw you just hopped on. I actually agree with you. I think that he could definitely become one of those fighters where you're like, oh shit, I thank God he was in my era. He has that type of potential. Now, of course, there's a lot of variables. He could get lazy, and miss weight. Once he gets the money, he loses the hunger. who knows? He could have an injury, anything. There's a lot of variables to happen as far as is he gonna, maintain his status and continue growing as a fighter. I don't know, but as of right now, I'm buying stock in Bam Rodriguez. If he was on the fucking Nasdaq, I will be putting as much money as possible on Jesse Rodriguez. That guy is a special talent, man. I came away really, really impressed. Also, getting to the undercard, this had a really good undercard. I came away really impressed with what MJ Akhmadaliev had to brought to the table. He fought Ronnie Rios and really took control of the fight. At one point, hurt his left hand and would just straight rocking him with right hooks and jabs, and pretty much dominated the fight, even with just one hand when he injured his left hand. I forget which round it was. And then come the last round, he ended up turning it up and getting the stoppage using mostly his injured hand. And he later said in the post-fight interview that he said that the reason he opened up a bit more with his left hand is because he knew there wasn't a 13th round. So he goes, if it's injured or something, whatever, it's just, you just got to figure it out to the end of the round. And so I really like what MJ Akhmadaliev did to Ronnie Rios. I felt like he made a statement. He dominated. He got the stoppage, and it only made me more interested in the Stephen Fulton fight. Listen, I was already interested in that fight, period, just because it's an undisputed fight. But considering how dominant Fulton looked in his last fight, how dominant MJ looked in this fight, that lets me know that this is a undisputed fight that would be very evenly matched. 2 belts on one side, 2 belts on the other side. And it's one that both fighters have dominated their last performance. They're both coming off probably their best performances of their career, if we're being honest. We put those 2 guys into the ring together, that could only make magic, man. That's probably, a very skillful fight, a fight fans fight. You know what I'm saying? It's for undisputed, all the belts. Little guys, you got to be a hardcore if you're really watching these, 122 pounders. And yeah, man, I really like that fight, man. And based off this last performance, it got me even more interested in that undisputed fight. I really, really like it, man. But I'm gonna give you guys a chance to call in if you guys want. I'm gonna put the link in the chat and pin it to the top of the chat for you guys, whoever wants to call in and talk to me. What do you guys think of this fight? This card, just this card. If you want to talk about the whole card, that's fine with me, man. We could have a conversation and yeah, Hold on one second. Let me pin it to the top of the chat, and then we'll get going. But man, what a performance by Bam Rodriguez. Good for him, man. Good for him. Nice young kid. Respectful, seems, has a good team around him in Robert Garcia. Puts in a fantastic performance in his hometown against a veteran and gets the stoppage. Shout out to you, man. All right, guys. I pinned the link at the top of the chat. So anybody who wants to call in, have a conversation with me, ask me a question, whether it be about my hat or about this card or about Dominican fighters, this is my channel. So anytime, it don't matter what the topic is. If you have a question or a comment about a Dominican fighter, y'all could call in and always do that. I'm the voice of Dominican boxing. So we could definitely do that. Or if you guys want to talk about the card, we can obviously do that as well. By the way, also, Raymond Ford fought on the undercard against an undefeated fighter who the undefeated fighter was actually from San Antonio where the fight was held. And Raymond Ford put in a good performance. He boxed really well. He fought very sharp. And what I mean by that is very picking his shots and wanted to land it as clean as possible. I did wish he was a little bit more active. I felt like he could have got the stoppage, but he at one point he was just styling on what's his name? I believe his name was Flores. Styling on him. Just at one point was mimicking like he was dribbling the basketball, then like moving his head on him. Raymond Ford put in a good performance, dominant performance. I think I might have gave the other guy 1, maybe 2 rounds, if that. It was it was a great performance by him, especially coming off his last performance where he didn't look, not quite as good. And but yeah, he's a young guy, and hopefully he can make some noise. 126 is a division that's about to get hot. Fulton has spoken about potentially moving up in the near future. Brandon Figueroa just moved up in that division. You got Maxayo and Ray Vargas and Navarrete. 126 is actually a really good interest in the division. If we could get Raymond Ford, an American, to be a player, that'd be awesome. Oh, I got my one of my favorite YouTubers, Ezra from the Ezra podcast. How's it going, my brother?
So can you hear me? Everything good? Sound good?
Yeah, everything sound great, man. What'd you think of that performance by Bam Rodriguez, man? That dude looked good.
I think that, and I know people are gonna want to say that, okay, right now off the energy of what had just happened, everyone's hyped about it, right? But the next week or two, you're gonna hear that Sor Rungvisai was washed, or you're gonna hear that all these things, right? They really only beat Quadras, who was washed, or Sor Rungvisai that was washed, and he hasn't really faced the 2 top guys at the weight. Let me tell you something right now. It could have been Sor Rungvisai 10 years ago, could have been 5 years ago, could have been 15 years ago. It would have been the same performance. What he's good at, Sor Rungvisai is terrible at. He can't move. He can't turn angles. He can fight if you're in front of him, but he can't turn. And what Bam can do with his legs is elite. It's special. It's rarely seen. And if I would favor him right now, if he fought Chocolatito, I would favor him to win that fight.
Hey, listen, me and you both. Like it gets to one point, like, believe what your eyes are seeing. Like, it's almost like, no, we have to believe that this guy is that good. He's done it too many times, and against Quadras and against Sor Rungvisai, particularly this Sor Rungvisai performance, we completely dominated, dropped them, and then stopped them. Like, whoa, we've never seen that happen to him. It was an absolutely fantastic performance, a star-making performance. I believe he's going to be a big deal in San Antonio after this. I think this kid is going to be good. Like, he's one of my favorites right now, for sure.
They don't needed a U.S. star. They just got him right now. If they were waiting on a U.S. star that was actually they could actually deliver the fights for, they have him. They could deliver any fight that they want for him from any weight division that they want for him, because he's treating the weight divisions how I kind of treat the little weight divisions, where I'm like, it's just 3 pounds. That seems that he has the same mentality where he's like, it's just 3 pounds. I'll drop to 108 if I need to. I'll go to 112. Wherever the fight is, I will get it. And he seems like, overly confident. Because he's the reason why he's not fighting Estrada and Chocolatito. The reason why he's not calling them out is because he wants his brother to get an opportunity against him. Because I think he's overly confident. It's like, I'll beat these guys too, but let me get my brother get some action too. Let him get fights. So I'll go down to 112 and beat everyone there. This dude is special. Like, it really is. He's elite. That's just the stuff he does with legs, though. He's fun to watch. I just think he's a star. I think even at 115 pounds, he can be a legit star in boxing.
No, I agree. I think he's definitely going to be a fighter, because especially since he's from Texas, and Texas in general, it's a good boxing state.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. It's a good boxing state. But the fact that he's from Texas and he's that good, oh no, that kid is going to be a star. And an interest in the lower weight class obviously is never going to be what it is in a welterweight or middleweight or heavyweight. But it's I want to say in the last 2 to 3 years, it definitely has grown a lot more with Inouye and Chocolatico. These Fulton. These guys, there seems to be a little bit more interest. And the fact that this guy is of Mexican descent from Texas and seems to have the skills to be one of the best pound for pound in the near future, I think it's a perfect storm. He becomes undisputed and wins multiple divisions and makes enough noise. He can become a star for the zone.
Yeah, and you got to think too with the lower weight classes, because the reason why a big reason why they weren't getting a lot of love is they didn't have a lot of screen time before, right? Mm-hmm. Especially HBO and Showtime, they weren't going to waste no money on putting the little guys as the main event. They did it towards the end of HBO because they were so low on budget that they had to do the little guys because they couldn't afford anything else to put on their TV. Now with DAZN, ESPN, Showtime, Fox, and all them, there's so many cards you got to fill it up. And this is what happens with the UFC. This is why the UFC expanded their weight divisions. The UFC used to stop at 155. They didn't go any lower than that, and they had no interest in doing it. Then they had so many shows that they had to do. They were like, we got to get some other guys. The little guys start opening the little weight divisions. That's what's happening in boxing now. We have so many shows on. They got to have main events, and they said let's go start getting the little guys. And the little guys now getting the screen time that they deserve, and how entertaining they actually are. And someone actually took a chance on them. You're starting to see it pay off, which you're starting to get actual stars in those divisions.
No, yeah, and honestly, the better fights are there. The better fights, as far as entertainment value, like I'd rather see a bantamweight fight or a super flyweight fight than a junior middleweight fight or a super middleweight fight or anything like that.
Might be Fulton versus Inoue. I mean, that might be the best fight in boxing. It might not be the biggest, but it might be the best fight in boxing, and that's saying something.
Yeah, and it's creating buzz. It's definitely boxing Twitter. Kind of like while the fight was happening and after, it kind of blew up a little bit based off of what Bam was doing. And, that only increases algorithm and notoriety towards his name. And I'm telling you, this kid is, oh man. When I came live, I came on excited, man. I was like, I did not expect for me to be this excited after that performance. I predicted Bam was going to win, so I wasn't necessarily surprised, but I was definitely surprised how dominant and how I didn't think he would get the stoppage either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that Sor Rungvisai's chin would hold up in the fight, but I knew that he would be able to tee off on him, and I thought that what was really impressive, I tweeted this out too, was at any point from the opening bell, right? I thought that he could have landed like a 10-punch combo. I really did. I thought like he could really land a 10-punch combo because he could mix it in with his movement, and he would have Sor Rungvisai just spinning in there. The reason he didn't do that, though, what I thought was so impressive that he didn't do that, was because of the discipline needed to not give Sor Rungvisai the chance of landing the big shot. It was a very disciplined performance. The defense, which is not really what you would talk about for him, it's always been decent. But how good it was today, it was a picture perfect it was today, that's another thing that was just like, it was really good to watch. And like you said, you expect him to win. So why are we at this point, right, where we're like so excited? It's also because he's very charismatic style in the ring. It's fun to watch. Bro. And when you put him, everything, he's doing something the whole time, and you're like, oh, that looks smooth. He's setting something up, and his shots look smooth. Everything he does is smooth. Like his 1-2s are super straight. No one ever talks about his 1-2s though. No one talks about his jab or his straight left, because everything else he does is just so fun to watch. You're like, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how he spun him, switched, and then landed an uppercut. I want to talk about that.
Yeah, I before you got on, I was mentioning, I was like, yo, it's almost like the guy's like ice skating in the ring. Like it's so smooth. The movement is very sudden. Doesn't look like it's requiring a lot of energy. Because sometimes when you see fighters dancing in the ring and stuff like that, you're like, yeah, he's not going to last the whole fight doing that. But it doesn't look like that's what Jesse's doing. It just looks like he's slowly just sliding across the ring. And what I like about it is a lot of times on the inside, he would just back up and it would just be looking like he's just backing up. He'll slide to his left and then land a right hook. And I'm like, whoa. I've been watching boxing for a while and I've never seen a fighter do something like that. Or where I would think he's trying to like get in position for something and he would just land a left hand. It was a very, very unique performance. Very, very I just really want to give him his flowers, man. It was a great performance by Bam Rodriguez tonight.
Yeah, it was, and I like the you said like the ice skating comparison. I really like that because I used to always compare boxing to like when people like a skate video, like a skateboard video, right? And you see the guy when he's flowing and he's going straight down, he hits a grind and an ollie and all those things. I'm like, that's kind of like boxing. Like the best guys in the world flow into stuff like that. When a guy that that's not that good, he could do one thing, reset, get back on the board, and then do it again. And that's what Bam does. He just flows. He's flowing in the ring 24/7.
Nah. Totally agree, man. Totally agree. What did you make of the undercard fight between Ronnie Rios and MJ Akhmadaliev? I came away really impressed with how MJ dominated. I didn't think he would dominate that easy. and I didn't think he would also get the stoppage.
Yeah, I thought MJ looked damn good. I thought that was a really good performance by him. I think that if he fights at range, and I was arguing this on Twitter too, I think he's competitive with anyone. If you want to say Inoue or Fulton, I think he's competitive. He can keep it at range. The problem is if you can make him have to adjust, I'm not sure he has that in him. At range, very good, high level fighter. On the inside, I don't think he's that good. I think defensively he's not that good on the inside. I think that the last fight that he had was a tougher fight for him, but a less of an opponent in Velasquez. But all Velasquez kind of did was make him fight on the inside a little bit, rough him up a little bit, and you start seeing him give in a little bit on the inside. I think that Fulton and them could get on the inside, probably make him adjust like that, probably give him a lot of trouble. But if you can keep it at range, he's a damn good fighter.
Do you think Fulton is strong enough to stay on the inside with MJ the whole fight?
Yeah, I mean Fulton on the inside with Brandon Figueroa the whole time. You know what I mean? Okay. Like he was tested 100%. He's tested, but the guy that fought the best on the inside as far as physical advantages, ability, and everything was Brandon Figueroa. He's already tested. He's passed that test. He graduated from that. So I don't think anyone is like he can't go on the inside with this guy. No, he can go on the inside with anyone, in my personal opinion. Now, maybe like a guy like Inoue with precision on the inside, like that might be, it's always a risk.
Yeah, and the type of power Inoue,
exactly. But against a guy like MJ, I think Fulton would have a huge advantage on the inside. It's just going to be if Fulton could keep if MJ could keep the distance. That's what would be the main.
I mean, I would give the athletic advantage to Fulton. So if
I'm not sure about that. I'm not.
No, I don't know. I don't know. Based off both of their last performances, if we look what Fulton did against Roman and how he boxed beautifully and
I love that.
Yeah, how he jumped in and out and did all these things. It was just like it almost just seemed like he was so much of a superior athlete than Roman, as opposed to just a superior boxer. And I think that would be the case the same. No, not as drastic of a difference, but I think that's the same case in the sense of I think Fulton will have the athletic advantage against Akhmadaliev.
I just think that MJ really relies on his athleticism to win fights because I don't think he's like
he does move well. He moves well.
Leg movement because he can't. I don't think he could turn angles. I don't think he could turn you really well. I think he gets a little bit clunky when he starts doing that. But back and forth movement, straightforward. He's very fast. His legs are very explosive, and his reaction, all that. I just think it's a lot of his game is on athleticism. Me personally, that's what I think. I think Fulton has a lot more skill. I think Fulton has a lot more craft to his game, and MJ's kind of just winning world class level fights with just athleticism.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had tweeted out. I was like, that's like you know how like you say you don't care about the belts and this and that. No, that's an undisputed fight. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it don't need no belts. You already know those two guys. Those are the best two guys at 122 pounds, and whoever wins that is the king at 122 pounds.
Yeah, man. And the best part about it is remember when we had Jake on here, he was saying how the possibility of that happening, of them sending MJ to Showtime, isn't that out of the realm of possibility, which excites me because it lets me know it's those barriers as far as across the street and all this, how boxing gets, won't be there.
Yeah, I mean that's why I always say, like, you have a problem with boxing, or you want to get into boxing, like a weight class that no one likes, like a weight class where we don't have no stars, because those fights are easier to get made. You like 126 pounds, right? You just went boxing, you said, I'm going to follow 126 pounds. You're going to be very happy with the results because those fights will get made. There's no doubt about it. You start getting star power and you start getting names like Canelo and Earl Spence, then you're going to start seeing the politics and the business get involved. But you get the 115 pounds, you're going to start seeing all those fights. They're all possible.
You brought up 126 pounds, and you just made me remember that Juanma versus Gamboa didn't happen. So you about to make me cry on camera, bro.
But I will say that was when we had like only Showtime and HBO. Now we have all possible. Everything's possible.
That's true. But what did you make of Raymond Ford's performance? I felt like he looked really good. The performance before last, he didn't look as good. He didn't look as sharp. But this one, he came and really, really showed out in the other guy's hometown to the point where he was literally faking as if he was dribbling a basketball.
Yeah.
What did you make of Raymond Ford, and what do you think about him as a prospect?
I thought he looked good today. I've never been wowed by him like ever. I've never been like, oh my goodness, he's the future.
Same.
Yeah, and he beat a guy that was undefeated today. I don't know how good he was, honestly. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think he. I'm not. I wouldn't bet that he goes on to a lot of success in the sport. The guy he beat, but he looked very good. That's what you kind of needed to see from him, was just to have those performances where he's just superior just to these fighters that are lower level than him. And he's had a few that weren't looking like that, but this one he did. He looked superior to him. So now I'm curious to see where he goes his next step.
Okay. Yeah, he's another American at 126. I like having Americans at the lower weight class. I feel like that's a good way of drumming up interest. Which
Yeah.
122 with Stephen Fulton is drumming up interest. We're right now talking how great Jesse Bam Rodriguez looked. Another American, his brother's an American who also fights in the division. Joshua Franco. I like that because again, it'll bring fights here and it'll bring interest to the casual. I feel like there's levels of casuals. There's casuals, and then there's like casual who watches a little bit more. So to that demographic, if we're bringing those little fights here to America, I feel like we can grow that. One, grow the sport and grow interest in the low weight division as a whole.
Yeah, the little guys need that. The kind of attention they need is like, they need like the Oscar Valdez versus Burchout attention, right? Like that. Yeah. Watch it on ESPN, and like if you follow the sport even just a little bit, you'll know that fight's happening. I don't know if they're ever going to get to the Earl Spence level or Tank Davis level, probably not. But they could get to the Burchout Valdez level. It's a pretty good level to get to. I mean, from where they
it is, and it would be an interesting transition because those lower weight classes has always been, especially like the pay for those, like these championship fights. Back, before the zone and when it was just Showtime and HBO, the pay was 75,000, maybe, if that. Now the more interest you drum up, the more bigger these checks are gonna get, especially if you get international rights to the TV and stuff like that. You start gaining interest from Japan and from China and from Thailand. You can start making some money, and I'm curious as to how the dynamic of the financial situation is going to change for these lower weight class as the popularity continues to grow.
Yeah, my only pro fight, I fought on a Donny Nietes undercard. I had no idea who Donny Nietes was. I followed the sport at that point. I had no idea who he was. I didn't know that he was a world champion. I didn't know how important the fight was that was the main event of this card. I had no idea. That's how much we've grown. I was literally on the card. I had no idea how important this fight was. I went back, I was looking at it, I was like, oh, that was a really big fight, actually. And on the co-main event, Mark Magsayo was the co-main event. Had no idea who that was. Probably saw him a few times. Never once was I like, oh, that's Mark Magsayo. So we've definitely come a long ways, I think.
We have actually. You do you remember Junior Jones? He beat. Yeah. He's from Brooklyn, and I had just to be fair, I had just started like following the sport closely, so I never saw the fight with him and Barrera and stuff like that. And he sat next to me. I was working an internship, and I was at press row. He sat next to me. Everyone's like, oh, like I'm like, what? They're like, oh, the guy sitting next to you. I'm like, who's that? They're like, Junior Jones. I was like, oh,
nothing for you.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, hey, like, nice to meet you. My name, I introduced myself. He just looked at me and just like, I was like, like he just played me. Then he's like, nah, I'm just messing with you. He's like, oh, what's up? Whatever. Like he started talking to me.
It was like from the 90s. It was like the top 10 fighters at that point. And I think he was like number 9 on that list at that point. Yeah, he was like number 9, I believe.
Oh, shout out to Brooklyn, man. Yeah, I it's funny. I've met him a bunch of times since then. My gym used to go to his gym to spar all the time, and like, well, we interacted before and stuff like that. He's a cool guy. Yeah, but who's fighting next week, man?
It's I saw it and I was like, there's nothing here really to grab my attention. I can't think about top of the head, but yeah, it's a slow week. But we've had so many busy weeks, I can't really complain for us.
Yeah, believe me, I'm not complaining. Oh, it's Brady's versus Opetaya.
The at light heavyweight.
No, cruiserweight.
Yes. Okay.
And
So
then
they busy fight for him.
yeah, exactly. That's all that's going on. And
There's
then the next week after that, we got Mark Messiah, who you just brought up, versus Ray Vargas.
yes. That's
And that undercard is actually a decent undercard, if I'm not mistaken, right? I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me
I
check.
can't remember off the top of my head too, but yes, it is. It is a good undercard. Who's the Frank Martin on that card?
I believe so. I believe you're right. Let me double check. I'm checking it right now.
That's a good card though. Yeah, that is a good card, and that's a good fight. I mean, Ray Vargas versus Mark Messiah was a really good fight.
It is. Ray Vargas more of the boxing type. Messiah more of the aggressive type. It would be an interesting class. You know, those clashes of styles always make for an interesting fight. Kind of like that chess match.
Exactly, and Maxwell is the aggressive type, unless what's his name, breaks his hand in front of him, and then he stares at him.
Gary Russell.
Yeah, Russell, and then he stares at Gary Russell. Doesn't take any chances in the fight, even though Gary Russell clearly only has one hand, and it's not his. And it was like that. Really, honestly, that division got a lot more interesting because Gary Russell is out of it, and that's only because he was just levels above everyone else. So there was not interesting. But now, when you eliminate the best guy and you go back to like the middle ground, you're like, oh, this is a competitive weight division.
Yeah, Gary Russell Jr. Is probably the biggest waste of talent I've ever seen, and I'm not even being disrespectful. And people want to say like, "Well, why would you say that?" He had all these great performances, but yeah, like he was so inactive, so chronically inactive that literally he wasted his prime years. I don't know what doing what. I really honestly don't know what he was doing.
He got paid very good. He had a very good contract. So he got every fight he had, he got paid very good on it.
Yeah, but he ruined his legacy, man.
He doesn't loves fighting. It's a career, it's a job to him basically, in a career, and that's how he makes his money. So he made sure he made sure he got paid good when he did fight. And that was more what he was going for. I mean, he always wanted the Tank fight. He was yelling for the Tank fight. He was even talking about fighting Devin Haney at one point. So
yeah, the thing is, right? You talk about fighting Tank, you talk about fighting Haney. It's like, bro, fight. Like it's the same thing I say with Charlo and Andrade and Benavidez. I'm like, yo, bro, could you fight somebody? Like, and he wasn't necessarily not fighting nobody. He has a decent resume. What I mean is, like, bro, you fighting once a year. Sometimes not. Sometimes once every 2 years, bro. Fight 2-3 times a year, develop your name.
That might not have been him though. That I'm saying, because that's what I'm saying. He got paid so good in these fights that they probably could only afford him once a year. You know what I mean? They weren't trying to get 3 fights a year or 2 fights a year.
Well, renegotiate your contract. That shit hurt him, bro. It really did. Like, yo, but like, yeah, if I'm getting paid too much, pay me less so I can fight more. Hold on. So wait, if you're gonna get paid, let's say 500,000. I'm making up a number. I have no idea.
Okay.
To fight one time, or you could get paid 350 to fight 2 times a year. Like what? You're making more money.
I'll take the one time.
Nah, give me the 2 time, especially with how talented he was, bro.
Yeah, but you're talking about like the risk, right, of boxing. Every time you get in there, it's a risk. You could lose your life in there, right? The risk. You want to collect the most you can in the one fight that you're gonna have, rather than like, okay, I'll fight 2 and I'm gonna make maybe 100 grand more or 150 grand more with the 2 fights other than the one. It is, if I'm your manager, I'm always gonna be like, let's just do the one for 500. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Nah. I see. I look at it from a yearly. Listen, 350 for 2 fights, right? That's 700,000. 500 for one fight. You're gonna leave 200,000 on the table. One could be a mandatory, which whatever mandatories usually are weak opponents for whatever reason. And another one could be an optional fight, like a competitive fight where your name will get bigger, and then maybe we could be like, all right, instead of 350 now it's 450 for 2 fights.
Yeah,
you staying at 500 fighting one time, your pay is gonna stay at 500 because your name ain't going up.
Yeah, but he probably saw it as like, I get my 5. It was in the millions. So we're usually 500, but it was in the millions he was getting. But he said, I'm going to get my.
Not getting paid millions of dollars.
Yes, he was. He was in the million.
So millions is 2.
I think he was about maybe $1.5 to $2 million is what he got paid per
He
fight.
was not. I can guarantee you,
I,
he was not getting paid $2 million.
right now, he's getting paid around there. He was getting right there. He had a really good deal with Showtime. I'm telling you right now, that's why he was not fighting.
Yo, I mean, damn, it's a shame because I actually thought he could have been number one pound for pound. I was that high on him.
He had that kind of talent. He did.
He had that kind. That's what I'm saying. He's the biggest waste of talent I've ever
He
seen.
would have beat Mark Magsayo if his arm didn't. He possibly did win that fight. Honestly, I scored it a draw because Magsayo kind of picked it up later. But he could have won that. He would have won that fight easily if he had both hands, and he almost won. He almost won.
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
He's not coming back, and I'm like, I mean, he had a broken hand, but I mean, he was clearly going to win that fight. I don't know why. It's not like, oh, he's washed now or anything like that. I didn't see that from that fight at all.
Yeah. What do you think of his brother Gary Antoine Russell, the 140 pounder?
He's good. He's really good. I think there's a little bit being overblown of like, what he is a little bit, but yeah, he's a very good fighter. He has a potential of being, a great fighter, but there is some flaws. I mean, we're going to say he punches from too far away. He got hit, some big shots from Postol, who doesn't have a lot of power, right? So if you get hit with those shots versus a guy like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the other guys in that weight class,
Matias,
Progress, right? And those guys that hit you and Matias, right, and hit you from that far away, you could possibly go to sleep. So there are some flaws that need to be fixed. I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be an elite level talent like everybody else seems to be. Everybody else is telling me that this is elite. No one's going to want to fight him. Everybody's going to avoid him. I'm not seeing that yet.
I totally agree with you. Hold on, Freddie. Let me finish my point. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think he's being a bit overrated. I do think he's a talented fighter. I'm definitely not going to say, he's a bum, he's trash, but I think people trying to make it seem like, yo, this kid is the next big thing. Oh, he beat Boots in the amateurs, and it's like, bro, that's just the amateurs. And that's not nothing. I don't want to dismiss it, but from what I've seen in the pros, I don't think he's this elite prospect, can't miss blue chip guy. I don't see that yet. Maybe in the future, but as of right now, I do not see that.
Yeah, and with that style too, he's going to exchange a lot. So there's good.
Yeah, and there's some killers in that division. There's some killers in that 140 division. All right, I'm introducing now my guy Box Talk 101. My guy Freddie from Box Talk 101. How's it going, my brother? How you doing?
Good, man. I'm chilling. Just enjoyed watching the fights, like everybody else. I'm assuming, dude. Bam's different, bro.
Bro, that dude's insane. What's your opinion on his performance? Break down the fight for me, please.
I don't know, man. Just like I mean, I saw a difference in power for sure. I thought Sor Rungvisai was dangerous, like throughout the whole fight. I was like, yo, like I know this dude's getting outclassed right now, but I feel like he has that what do you call it? Like that X factor, And so I was hoping Bam wouldn't get like a little too excited. And he didn't. He was very composed. So good for him, man. He's very smart. And I'm friends with the brothers, so I don't want to like disrespect their coach or anything, but I'm like, these guys are fucking Robert Garcia guys, bro. Like he's not a Robert Garcia fighter. Does that make sense? Like I'm like, look, man, this kid. You heard when people make jokes like, oh, when this kid was born, he slapped the doctor. I'm pretty sure Bam shows up and fucking he shows Robert how to coach, bro. Because
Robert Garcia is a good coach. What are you talking about, bro?
Before I'm not sure I agree with it, but I like it. I like the take. I like that his take is the Robert Garcia slander. I do like.
It's because I look at all of their guys, bro. All of his guys, none of them have defense. Bam has spectacular defense.
Got to think of the culture of the guys he's training, right? And so a lot of the cultures are offensive. Like, Mexican fighters are a lot of offensive fighters. That's like what they watch, what they see, the guys they like, or all that. Bam is he's something different. And like his favorite fighter, like one of his favorite fighters, Lomachenko, right? So like he gets a lot of inspiration from them. It just depends on who you're watching growing up or who you're gonna fight. Like they get a lot of guys that are Mexican that are offensive fighters. So he's not going to make those guys defensive wizards. Like one of the funniest things that I thought ever happened was when Angulo went with
Virgil Hunter.
Yeah, and I was like, "What the hell is this?"
With who? With who?
Virgil Hunter.
Yeah, he won Virgil Hunter.
Oh.
Yeah, and I was like, "This is a waste of time." Okay, this is a waste. I don't need to see Angulo fight anymore if he's going to try to be a defensive wizard. Okay, so it's not going to happen. But yeah, so I think he just trains you for what you are. And when he gets a guy that has that kind of talent, I mean, look at Mikey. Mikey was a defensive guy.
Yeah, Mikey was an absolute star with his footwork and his defense. He was fantastic. I was waiting for you to finish to bring up Mikey. Also, when I was training, I had a trainer that he would train people based off their nature. So,
Yeah.
like, you know, if this is your first time sparring, he'll just put you to spar. He'll teach you the basics, put you to spar, and then based off the first 5 or 6 times you spar, he'll notice if you're like scared to get hit, which is normal because, well, not normal. You know, if you're just like a scary, you know, you wince, you do this. He realizes that you're scared to get hit, so he will make you more of a defensive fighter. So as opposed to you blinking and doing all this, you're now more staring at what's coming at you, and then he'll teach you, all right, this is how you counterpunch, this is how you parry, this is how you step back, and so on and so forth. And if he sees, you know, this is your first, second time sparring, and you're not really scared to get hit, and you're just kind of like, he goes, all right, I'm not going to argue with your nature. Your nature is that, all right, you're scared, so I'm going to make you more defensive. Your nature is more that, you know, you just go and you want to fight, you want to slug it out. All right, I'm going to make you offensive, but I'll teach you, obviously, a few little defensive moves. But that, you know, I'm not going to argue with the nature of who you are as a person. So I think maybe that's somewhat what Robert Garcia does, because, again, perfect example was Mikey Garcia, and he also trained Brandon Rios. Those are 2 totally different fighters, but, you know, one, you know, and both trained by the same guy. Same thing with Jesse Rodriguez, you know?
I feel like if Bam can teach AJ a thing or two, he might have a chance against Usyk.
I think AJ has a good chance against Usyk.
I do too.
Change from the first fight, that where everyone was clearly picking AJ to win that fight by a vicious knockout. What's changed? All the same things that were there in that first fight are still there today. I don't understand. Nothing is gone. Nothing has changed.
Not the trainer.
Huh?
Not the trainer.
Yeah, maybe there's an improvement there, right? There's an improvement on the trainer. Honestly, you're gonna have to eat your words. If AJ knocks out Usyk, you're gonna have to come on here and apologize.
Yes, you will.
No, but see, that's the thing is, like, if we thought nothing was broke in the first place, just AJ maybe had the wrong game plan, then why change anything? Like you said, everything, the possibility, the expectations were there for AJ to win. So
yeah.
So why change trainers?
What do you mean why change trainers? He had a bad game plan. Who makes the game plan? The trainer.
But do we know for sure? What if the game
AJ goes, hey, trainer, so
no.
Do this and do that. So why am I paying this dude if I'm the one coming up with the game plan?
AJ,
no, that's not what I'm saying though. Let's say the game plan was the right game plan. Let's just assume it's the same game plan as Robert Garcia's, but AJ just didn't go in there and execute.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not what he said. What he said was that he wanted to box with him, which is AJ. I don't know what the fuck. Like, what the fuck was that, bro? Listen, I predicted knockout of the year when that fight got made.
I want to defend something. I do think AJ could outbox Usyk. I'm going to say it right now. Now, maybe not in the way it looked that night, but I think if he went backwards, right, he moved backwards, and Usyk had to cover that ground, he's going to walk into big shots, and he may not want to do that again. The part where he stood in the middle of the ring and didn't have any movement forward or backwards and let Usyk move all around the ring, yeah, that's a flaw. But if he moves backwards and Usyk has to go towards him and has to cover that space himself, he's not going to want to walk into those big shots. So I'm going to say there's still that opportunity. I'm not going to go crazy. See, everybody goes crazy. It's like a last thing. Everybody's going, he can't do this. I still think there's capabilities of him doing a lot of things in the ring. And I don't think he just has to go bum rush him. I really don't.
No, I think it's the best interest of AJ just to come forward, lean on him anytime he gets.
Use your size.
Yeah, use his size and bang that fucking body. I don't know if you guys remember when AJ started going to the body against Usyk, it really hurt him. But he did that later in the fight. He was already kind of tired. He was already getting discouraged.
He did that at range, though. He didn't do it. He didn't push him against the ropes and do it. He did it at range. So
you know what?
You can do it both. But whatever way you do it, bang that body, break this little fucking cruiserweight down, and knock his ass out. But I don't know if he got that mental capacity to be like that killer mentality.
He doesn't, bro. He doesn't. Hey, and you know what, Joel? You mentioned something earlier too about fighters and how, you know, some guys don't like to get hit. AJ's one of those guys.
Yeah. Nah, and then if he's not, then he should be a little bit more defensive and focus more on counter punching. Look at the punches that are coming at you. But not in this case. Not with this little fucking cruiserweight. Go over there and knock his ass out.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see.
No?
I don't. If he tries to fight Chisora, he's gonna get. I already saw. If he tries to fight like Chisora, he's gonna get schooled. And I already seen someone fight like Chisora against Usyk. It was Chisora. He's the best.
And Chisora won like the first 4 rounds or something.
I just
got gassed, and then that's why he lost, because he was gassed. But Usyk was having trouble with that size. Usyk was, what the fuck is going on?
Do you guys think Chisora had more success against Usyk than AJ?
No, I thought AJ did stuff in there. I thought Chisora was using his style and it was making it difficult. I don't think he was like, he might win this fight. I never felt that fight. And I don't think that you could mimic Chisora's style. Like, it's like when people say he needs to fight like Madonna, It's like, you're not going to fight like Maidana. Okay, Maidana fights in a way that no one ever fought before. So you're not going to fight like him. I hate when people use that stuff.
Maidana fights like a drunk dude at a bar who just is really good at fighting drunk, though. He fights like that. So for you to instruct somebody to fight like that, it's pretty difficult. But no, that's actually a fight I'm really interested in. The only thing is like, god damn, man, like I've been waiting for this shit for mad long.
Yeah, I don't know why they keep delaying it. It's taking forever. It's in August now, right?
Yeah, I'm like, this fight was supposed to be in April.
Yeah, I don't understand. I guess they're trying to buy AJ as much time as possible to get with his training staff. But yeah, it's taking.
I don't know what took so long, but I do like his choice of trainer. Me and Ezra, we've gone back and forth on who he should be training with a bunch of times. But Robert Garcia is a good fighter, a good trainer. And again, he is going to instruct him to be more aggressive, kind of like that Mexican style, which I think is a good way to beat Usyk.
I think it is a good way, but AJ has to have it in him to do it, because I'll give you an example. I exactly what you said. That's what I think he needs to do. But I also thought Ramirez needed to do that against Taylor, and Taylor did it better than Ramirez did. Like, Robert's good with like teaching you little little tricks, right? Getting a little dirty when you need to, but not enough to like get a point deducted. Robert's very good at that kind of stuff. But if you're like a nice guy like Ramirez is, maybe you don't have it in you, to rough another guy up in there.
Yeah,
who would like number one choice? Like, who's the top 3 trainers right now in boxing?
Derek James.
Derek James. What? Yeah. I think he's number 1.
I mean, can we put Javon Sugar Hill in? Because the work he's done with Fury, man, he's looked really good.
It's one. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna say, because we're talking about Garcia. I think Garcia is probably number 1, right? Because he's done it through years and multiple fighters, right? And I think Derek James is really good right now. In his thing, in this certain moment, he has a lot of talent. I would like to see where he's at 15 years from now, if he still has this high level of fighters, right? Because it seems like he hit the right spot with the right amount of talent. I've seen Garcia for years with a bunch of different level fighters and a bunch of different. He's always there at the high level as training, right? If you look, Ray Rhodes to kind of fall off at this point, right? That might be because of physically, can't really do it anymore. There's a possibility in there. But there's a lot of trainers like who was training Golovkin for all those years. Abel Sanchez. Yeah, Sanchez is not around anymore. I mean, he doesn't have elite level fighters anymore. There's a lot of guys that are like kind of hot at the moment and not consistent. And I would say Garcia's been consistent for all these years. I mean, I've been seeing.
Listen, Garcia was definitely one of the names I was gonna say, because of one, how many fighters he has.
Yeah.
It's like every card. I don't know what happened with Freddie.
My bad. Hold on.
It's like every card I watch is like, Robert Garcia. Even if he has an undercard fighter, he'll have somebody else.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no.
But actually, for me, Robert, the problem with that is I feel like Robert has too many fighters, and sometimes his work gets a little watered down. So I'm like, I just want to see what this dude can do when he focuses on like maybe 2 guys, right? Like Derek James. I look at Spence and I look at Charlo, and I'm like, fuck, they're on top of the division, in my opinion, right? In their division. But Robert has too many guys. And so I know he's not spending the amount of time with these guys that I'd like him to spend with. Like, he maybe leaves them to his assistant or his son or like passes them on, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to gauge like his real work. Like how much time did you spend with this guy, you know?
A very good example of that too is Abel's not Abel I'm sorry, who's a Canelo's trainer. Reynoso
Eddie Reynoso.
Reynoso.
leaving now, right? Because they felt like they weren't getting enough attention, they weren't getting the proper attention needed, right? And that's because he had way too many fighters, because he became the hot trainer at one point where everybody was going with him. Now everyone's leaving him, and now he's got to focus on Canelo, and I don't really know who else he has besides that. I just seen Valdez training, and he looked like he was with someone else. So.
Frank Sanchez.
But I always look at like how many champions any trainer made. And a lot of those guys went to Reynoso and they were already champions. I can't think of any champions like he made, like maybe like a prospect or somebody who he turned into a champion. Like those guys already all had belts except for Canelo. Like he made Canelo. He could take full credit for that. But
I mean, yeah, he made not number one anymore, but at one point, number one pound for pound fighter. So he's definitely in the running just off that. Like that's pretty impressive. You got a guy from scratch and you got him all the way to number one pound for pound. That's impressive.
Yeah, but sometimes you just get you get the right talent to go with your style. But I want to see it consistently. Like to me, if you're gonna be like a top trainer, I want to see you do it on consistent levels throughout a lot of years.
The thing is, the knock on Robert Garcia is that he can never win the big fights. Like he'll win a fight, like a championship fight, and here and there. But like when Donaire Rigo, he didn't. Brandon Rios Pacquiao, he didn't get it. Like the big fights, he just seems like his fighters never rise to the occasion. Margarito Cotto, the second one.
Maidana Floyd.
Maidana Floyd twice, yeah.
But he hasn't had a lot of elite talent. To me, it's impressive that he even got the talent that he had to that certain level, right? Like, I mean, if you're looking at Maidana's a perfect example. Like Maidana before he got to Garcia was getting stopped. You know what I mean? He was getting hurt.
He was getting stopped. He never got stopped before.
He was getting hurt though. I mean, he was like by Amir Khan. I mean, he got hurt.
Yeah, he lost to Khan.
He got hurt to the body. Yeah. No, but he didn't get stopped. You said stop. That's why.
No, okay. That bad choice of words. But I'm saying he looked way more vulnerable. Then when he went to Garcia, he was tightened up. And he was even effective with Floyd in the middle of the ring at points. You know what I mean? That's the credit to him, because Maidana is not a physically a talented fighter or an elite level talent fighter. He's just not. And the fact that he got him to that point, I would say it's a lot of success on the training on his part.
No, you're right. You're right. And specifically in the first fight, and Maidana had so much success. Oh, another aspect of that you could attribute it was he was training with Alex Ariza at the time, and Maidana was known for gassing out. Mm-hmm. He came in really good shape for that fight, and he fought hard for 12 rounds. And Mayweather had to earn that win. Mayweather was a lot of fights where he kind of left out of the ring like he probably wasn't even sore. That wasn't one of them.
No, that was a tough fight. That was a real tough fight.
Yeah. Right. Anybody in the chat want to ask a question? You got 3 boxing experts on right now. Ask a question. We can answer anything you guys want.
Somebody said Abel Sanchez was horrible, bro. Look, I'm gonna agree, but I want to know what you guys think, because I'm not a historian. I feel like you guys are much more historians than I am. But I'm like, I've always thought of Abel Sanchez, and I'm like, oh, well, he landed the fucking right guy, right? In Triple G.
It's more he landed the right guy.
Is that the case, or what do you guys think?
Case with him, he landed the right guy. And then he got like a little deep camp at that point, but none of the other guys in that camp ever went anywhere. Besides,
nobody made it, right?
Made it. Before that, I mean, he was a guy. Actually, that when my brothers and my dad had trained boxing, he was in their gym. He was at a Baldwin Park, and he used to train fighters there. And he had his own thing about him. I don't think he ever had fought. So there was like that thing too, where it's like, can you train people, but you never fought? I think you can. I think that's very possible. And I think at some points he proved it. And a lot of other guys, I think, proved that too. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think he was ever an elite trainer. No, I don't think so. And over time.
Oh, you know what else too, actually? I think, at least from what I've heard from certain fighters that have gone to Big Bear and like had camps there, is he benefited from having an excellent location for his camp.
Yeah.
That's one thing I had heard from fighters. So I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't even think of besides Triple G of he also trained so and so. I can't even think of a second guy.
Perez for a little bit, who was like maybe going to be something. And that was
He
about
trained Salcedo for a little bit.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I don't remember anybody else. I think Kovalev might have went there, but not trained with him. Like he might have had his camp there or something.
I remember he spoke on Kovalev going over there and sparring with Triple G.
Yeah.
Yo, that's one thing. Yo, Ezra, you somebody who has a lot more experience in the ring than both of us, me and Freddie. Abel Sanchez used to talk about sparring like that shit was a real fight. Like, how much of an etiquette is it to speak on sparring? Because from what I understand, people get dropped, hurt all the time in sparring, but the code is like, all right, we don't speak about it to the media. That's not something he didn't go by that.
Yeah, I mean, it's because guy was was the star when you came into his gym, right? His gym, so he was going to speak on it because he had the star, and you're nobody compared to his star or whatever that's probably is. But like, okay, wild card gym, there's so many high level fighters that go in there and they spar, and there's guys getting dropped, knocked out all the time. It happens all the time. You never talk about it. No one ever talked about it. There's no filming it. There's no nothing. You never heard like, oh, this happened in the wild card gym as this guy got knocked out, because there was guys that went in there that had big fights coming up, and I seen them getting killed in sparring. Never heard of it, never made anything, and there was a lot of people in there. It's not like they can control the whole thing, but to me, you shouldn't be talking about it. Especially if you're fighting a guy that has a fight come up, no one should be talking about it.
Yeah, no, I remember. Well, he spoke about him sparring Kovalev, and the one sparring match where I distinctly remember him talking about, and I'm like, damn, bro, like I don't think that's a way you should go about it. He spoke about how Angulo, I remember Angulo, before he was washed, was really aggressive and liked to brawl, liked to push the effort. He said that Angulo went over there for sparring, and he tried that with Golovkin. And he's like, man, Golovkin beat him up and made him quit. Like, bro, like how are you gonna say that on camera? Like,
because he has a small gym and Golovkin's a star in there, so he's gonna say all these crazy things because
Abel was a shit talker, bro.
That way, and also people don't want to go spar up there, even if they wouldn't have gotten beat up. They go, you know what? I'm not gonna go over there because then they're gonna just start talking shit. And who knows if half the things he said are true.
Remember? Do you remember when Connor was having his training camp for Floyd, and then you remember the Paul Malignaggi situation?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, he's getting killed in there because he has one picture of him getting punched in the face, and it's like, that one picture. It might not tell the whole story, but it looks bad. So then suddenly, because it was Berto was going to go train with Connor, he was going to go spar him.
Oh, I know that.
But when he saw that, he was like, "Oh no! If not, they're going to take a picture and make me look bad. Then no, I'm not going to do that."
No, well, Connor actually put out the footage of him dropping Paulie.
Yeah, I was a real quick cut, and I didn't think he dropped him. I thought he
dropped him, man. I don't know. To me, that looks like a knockdown. I don't know. Let me see if I can find that.
Paulie was.
It was iffy.
Yeah, Paulie. He held the back of Paulie's head, and Paulie got unbalanced and fell backwards. That's what I thought.
He was hitting him with body shots, and then he just kind of like flailed down.
You guys, I am so excited about that rematch. You have no idea how excited I am.
That's such a BS story. I don't buy it for a second. Such a BS story.
Stream City.
So excited.
Ezra, you know more about UFC. You had told me on Twitter that you don't think that fight happens.
No, there's no chance that fight happens. The UFC they have no interest in doing another one of those. They cashed out the one time. It worked out perfectly for them. They got a decision. I mean, he won rounds with Floyd. He got stopped, but he didn't get knocked out cold. It was a perfect outcome for them. It looked like he was somewhat competitive. They couldn't ask for a better thing. They're not going to take that chance again. They're not going to send them there.
Do they have to be a part of it?
Huh?
Do they have to be a part of it?
Yeah, Connor's in a 100% deal with them. He's got at least like 4 fights on his contract.
Damn.
So they
what if he retires? What if he retires?
No, it don't matter. He can't fight.
He's under a fight contract, not a MMA contract.
He can't do anything without them. He can't kickbox, can't do anything without their permission.
Yeah, man.
That's why none go fight Jake Paul, because if they could, I mean, Nate Diaz will go fight Jake Paul this August. Like that would be the fight that was getting made, but they can't get out of the contract, and the UFC is not going to let him out of the contract. And if they wanted to cash out, the UFC really wanted to cash out, they could do it multiple times. They could allow Logan Paul to fight MMA. They can send any one of their guys to fight Jake and co-promote it, or they could, like I said, the Floyd Mayweather thing. There's a bunch of different things they could do. They don't do it because it's not good for their business model.
Yeah, more interesting. You bringing more eyeballs to boxing than you are
and
Yeah,
more losses to MMA.
yeah, you don't want your guys getting killed. That's not a good look either. You know what I mean? So the best thing for them to do is
That's why he hates Jake Paul. Jake
Yeah.
Paul knocking out all these MMA legends.
yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for Jake Paul to knock Tyron Woodley out cold. You know what I mean? That's
Hey,
not.
are you going to that, Joel?
Oh yeah, it's in New York.
It's
Come
in New
on.
York.
You're going.
Honestly, my boy texted me. I was like, "You want to go?" He didn't seem like willing. I might go. Amanda Serrano's on the card.
Yeah.
So, and
I think-
honestly, most of Jake Paul's undercards have been entertaining. If we're being honest.
Yeah, there's gonna be some freak NFL fight. There's stuff on there. You're
Hey
like,
man, and listen. Depending how much the tickets cost, I may fucking go. Who knows? Why not?
Everybody likes the circus, dude. Just go.
Yeah, why not? Why not? It's a night out in the city.
I get pumped for a Jake Paul fight. It's about as big. I get as much excited for a Jake Paul fight as I do by any other fight. I'm on the edge of my seat.
I would go if it was local. I would fucking go.
Yeah.
No, they're gonna get my $5. I can promise you that.
Hold on, but I'm about to end this. But before I do, I want Freddie. I want you to tell me about your New York experience when you came out here.
Oh my
How did
God,
you enjoy
bro.
my city?
I don't know how you live there, bro. It's
I don't live in
Ezra. Where do you
Manhattan.
live? Ezra, where do you live?
LA.
Where?
LA.
Okay. Have you ever been to New York?
No, I've never. I've only left LA like twice in my life, and I don't plan
Damn,
to
bro.
Are you like a touristy type? Like, do you like to go do?
leave that. I hate doing it.
Yeah, you would hate it, bro. You would hate it because I'm not that type of guy. Like, I don't want to go sightseeing. I don't like to do stuff. Right. I went there for for me it's business. I went there for business, and bro, Joel, have you ever been to the West Coast?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been in a hotel on the West Coast.
Nah, I stood in an Airbnb. Well, I've been to Vegas, but when I went to LA, I stood in an Airbnb.
Bro, you guys have, I don't know if you know this. Maybe it's normal for you. You guys have tiny ass hotel rooms. Everything in New York is so like.
Well, it's funny. I actually stood in a hotel room in well, honestly, it depends what hotel you go to. So, yeah, I don't know where you went. But
I stayed in Manhattan.
No, well, Manhattan is a huge place. But yeah, no, you should have hit me up as to where you should have booked the hotel. I would have recommended probably stay in Brooklyn, the good part, right over the bridge. But tell me about your experience. What didn't you like? What did you like?
All right, look. So first of all, first thing I noticed was like, oh man, like it's not easy to get around, right? Like everything, there's a lot of traffic, and there's just you have to ride the subway or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't have that here. Over here, I live in the Bay Area. We don't have that here. We can get in our car and drive an hour, and it's not a big deal. Like over there, I don't know, it's crazy.
If you're in Manhattan, getting around in car is very difficult.
Did you take a cab?
I did take a cab from the airport to my hotel, and that shit cost me $100, and it wasn't that far of a drive. I was like, damn, yo, like, but I didn't know any other way, right? I was like, oh, I'm gonna get an Uber. And this cab driver was like, I'll charge you whatever the Uber charges you. It's fine. I was like, all right, cool, let's go. And I'm like, damn, bro, this shit's $100. So yeah, getting around over there is expensive. You guys, I don't know if you just, I don't know, man. Like, you guys put your trash on the street. It's so weird. Like, just in a bag, bro. You know how we have like garbage cans and we put them out, we roll them out. Nah, they don't do that. They get their trash in a bag, take it out of their kitchen or whatever, and they just put it out on the street. They got these big old rats running around. They look like possums. It's crazy, bro. I went on the subway. I had a dude sitting next to me holding a hammer. And I was like, I don't know, man. I'm somebody who's used to like carrying a concealed firearm, right?
If you would have won like next month, you would have been all fine. You could have been locked and loaded over there.
Because I don't know what I heard their laws were weird, so I didn't want to like even like try to like, because you can fly with the web. I've done it before, but I heard they have different restrictions. So I was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna try it. And then I got there and I was like, fuck, bro, I felt so naked, and it wasn't fun, bro. It wasn't a great experience.
I'm
I
trying.
don't know, man. I don't know how you live there, bro. I
Yo,
don't know how
yo,
you
I,
gotta be cut from a different cloth to live out there, bro. I'm gonna
hey,
keep it
listen,
real.
man. That's why when you talk to New Yorkers, man, and we come across as aggressive, look at the shit we living in, bro. There's a reason.
I'm telling you, Broadway's trying to move out of there. I'm trying to get them to Broadway in Los Angeles, get them on Broadway Street, so they don't have to
Bro,
change.
yeah. You gotta
I would listen. The
it's a
thing is,
different world, man.
I would move to LA. I would. I don't have a problem with that. I would move to LA for the right. If I had a job lined up, I would move out there.
Here's a
Like,
mistake. Everybody says they want to move to LA and they want to move to the downtown areas. No one lives in the downtown. It's not a real thing. But you move to one of the neighboring city suburbs. You have LA, you have access to everything, but you live in a
Mhm.
neighborhood where you're screaming.
Ezra, you could get me a job out there.
I can get you wherever you want. I'm telling you, let's make the move. Let's make it happen.
Yo, don't fuck with me. Yo, I'm gonna text you as soon as I end this live. I'm gonna text you. I'm being serious. If you could get me a job, I'll move.
You if you don't mind. Only jobs I have to offer is like manual labor and stuff like that. If you don't mind manual labor, then it's a possibility.
Not, I mean, as long as the pay is good, like
Pay is very good. Union wages.
We'll talk. We'll talk. But anyways, getting back to Freddie, man, getting around in the city, if you know how to take the train, is easy. Everything is 15 minutes away, especially if you're in Manhattan. I'm just letting you know. As far as getting around in car, if you're in Manhattan, it depends where. Where you were staying is Midtown. That's like where there's a lot of hustle and bustle over there. So there's a lot of fucking traffic.
So
And,
it took me. I left Rolly's. So Rolly stayed in Brooklyn, and
which is where I would have recommended you to stay.
I stayed in Manhattan. And after I left his room, after the fight and everything, right? He had a 7 a.m. flight. I had a 7:30 flight. At JFK. Okay, so I didn't know where the hell I was at. Keep in mind, I didn't know where the hell I was at. But I was how I needed to get around. But the thing is, I was in Brooklyn at his hotel. Once I made sure everything was cool and like he was taken care of, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out of here. It's 2 a.m. I need to get to Manhattan, pick up my stuff from my room, and go back to JFK
at 2 a.m.
At 2 a.m. because my flight was at 7:30. So I wanted to be there around 6, right? And just bro, getting the subway or train, whatever it's called, at that time was so confusing because you guys have different schedules for like late nights.
Yeah, it's local. Yeah. At that time, bro, you risked your fucking life being on the train.
I know that.
What the hell? I told you specifically when you get on that train, man.
I know.
Eyes
open, ears open.
I was telling you, like, hit me up, man, for any kind of advice. You never hit me up, bro. Yo, at that time, anything could have happened to you.
I know.
Your body would have just got found today.
I'm telling you, if Freddie didn't check in, and that was a mistake. If I go to New York, check in right away.
No, it's not about a matter of checking in. It's about knowing what to do.
Broadway and MBL. As soon as I stepped on foot on New York, right there, Broadway and MBL. First
for
thing
real, man. I'm mad you ain't link up with me, Freddie. But yeah, Ezra, you got to come out here to New York one day, man.
I can't see it happening, but if I ever did, I would link up and we could go to Little Caesars Pizza and you can show me what you guys got out there, and we can make it happen.
All right, pissing me off now. Pissing me off.
But my bad. I had to link up with like Rolly's mom and sister and niece, and I had to take care of them, so I couldn't but that was why I didn't link up with you.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. But guys, thanks so much for hopping on. Again, Bam Rodriguez, fantastic performance. I'm really, really excited to see what's next for him. Matter of fact, like before I let y'all go, what do y'all think is next for him? Who do y'all think he fights? He's talking about moving back down to 112.
What do you say, 112? And J Bro said that he talked to Eddie Hearn, and Eddie Hearn said that he's gonna fight Al Ray. So we'll see.
Okay. So, that's actually a fight that I like, and a fight that I think is winnable.
I think every fight at 112 is winnable for Bam, and easy, to be honest.
Yeah, I think every fight at 115 for him as well.
115 as well.
Yeah, I think every fight's winnable. I would favor him over El Gallo. I favor him over Chocolatito. I would favor him. I can't, that's a stacked weight division. You could keep going down the list, but I would if I favor him over those two guys, I'd probably favor him over everyone else.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat with you guys. But all right, guys, I appreciate you guys hopping on, doing the post fight breakdown with me. Ezra, I'm gonna hit you up right. Matter of fact, stay on. so we can
All
talk about that move to LA.
Got you.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.